Years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and young guns Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. Kind of a gray, cloudy Tuesday afternoon. Don't let that fool you. We have a heck of a show for you today, and there's a lot to get into. Tony Basilio from Knoxville around 2:18, give or take a few seconds. Then during the 3 o'clock hour, some serious NFL talk. A lot going on to get into. Trust me. And then we will get a live report from First Horizon Park near the end of the show. Lipscomb baseball coach Jeff Forehand will join us as his team gets ready to take on nationally ranked Vanderbilt tonight at the park at 6 p.m. Let's head up to the plateau. Say hello to Coach Watson Brown. Watson, how are you?
George, I'm doing great. It's at least I don't have my heavy coat on today, so we're making progress here anyway.
Do you know, in fact, let me look at this real quick. The Weather Channel, which as you can imagine, I'm a season ticket holder on the Weather Channel. I check it religiously. They said 82 degrees on Thursday. This thing says 77, this thing being my phone, which is not a flip phone anymore. It says 77, and so good.
About time.
Dadgum time.
About time.
Yeah. Okay, hold on to all of that. Billy, how are you today?
George, I'm great.
Good.
I'm great. We got fooled by the weather early on here in Nashville, and even in the winter months in January and February. We thought, we might have a nice warm late winter and into spring. Not quite.
But the truth of it is we don't have a lot to complain about. We didn't get any real ice, no snow. Now, we had the absolute tundra right before Christmas. But other than that, we really haven't got a lot to complain about.
No, not complaining.
No.
Not complaining.
Don't you dare complain.
George, are we ready?
You leave that to me.
I was going to let you say that.
Yes. So where are we update-wise?
Well, George, we got a lot to get to, but we got some NFL, little World Baseball Classic. But we start with Nick Saban.
Shall we now?
We usually do during football season, but in the offseason, he's in the news. And I called you about this last night.
Yes, you did.
I got a good kick out of it. I didn't get a kick out of the news. The news is awful. Alabama defensive back Tony Mitchell was driving 141 miles per hour as he drove away from police in Florida last week before being arrested. Mitchell and Christopher Lewis, the passenger, they were arrested and charged with possession of marijuana.
Marijuana. That's not the way it came out.
No. Nick Saban said that Mitchell was suspended from the team and all team activities, but he also made another comment.
Yes, he did.
So take a look at this.
Okay.
Mitchell has been suspended from the team and all team activities until we gather more information about the situation and what his legal circumstance is. And, guys, everybody's got an opportunity to make choices and decisions. There's no such thing in being at the wrong place at the wrong time. You got to be responsible for who you're with, who you're around, and what you do, who you associate yourself with, and the situations that you put yourself in. So it is what it is, but there is, cause and effect when you make, choices and decisions that put you in bad situations.
I know it cut out a little bit there, but
yeah, but
the quote that we wanted to get
got
to
the big one
was that he said It may be a shot at Nate Oates, maybe not, but he said there's no such thing as being in the wrong place at the wrong time for something like this.
Watson, do you want me to get to my most cynical being?
Sure. You go for it, buddy.
Okay. Nick Saban was done a favor by this particular player who was driving 141 miles per hour, because Nick Saban has been dying to get it out there that he doesn't approve of the way the University of Alabama has behaved in a particular situation in the last few weeks. Not only do I think he was aiming the shot at Nate Oates, I also think he was aiming it at the athletic director, Greg Byrne, and saying, what the hell kind of a halfway house are you running? I think he was dying to say it and finally got the excuse.
Well, I mean, everything looks that way because of the timing of it and everything. But you know me, I don't go there. 141 miles an hour and running from the police.
That's a lot.
It is not being around the wrong people at the wrong time. I mean, that's him doing the driving. I mean, he's the one that's running from the police. It was, the way I read it was enough. It was possession to sell because of the amount of marijuana they had. And I think if that had been my kid, he would most definitely be suspended, and because that's pretty serious charges. And so the incident itself is not good, and I can't see him doing anything but what he did.
But you're almost making my argument. The wrong place at the wrong time really is not the issue here. The issue is the kid did something wrong, and we know that. But what I'm saying is I believe in my cynical, whatever way, that Nick Saban has been dying to say this, but couldn't come out and do it, while the basketball thing was going on. And so he finally got a football situation where he could utter something that is a shot across the bow. You know full well it is.
No, I don't know full well it is, but it looks like it is.
Well, why else would he have said it?
I don't know, George. He suspended the kid. He should have suspended the kid.
Yeah.
I don't know why he went in a dissertation unless the kid told him, I didn't do this. The guy with me did this. If that's the case, then he would say that. If there's not another kid in the car, I don't know where you could be at the wrong place, the wrong time if it's just you. I don't like jumping into the stories. I'm not getting on you because you have every right to say this because it looks like it. To me, it does. It looks like he's taking a shot, but I don't know that is the case because I don't know the whole story about the kid. The other thing that he did say that I thought was a little bit, we're suspending him till we look into it further. That could have been taken as a shot.
Oh, sure it could have.
Nate Oates said, I don't know everything yet. You remember? He said the first time he spoke, he said, I spoke too quick because I don't know everything yet about what's going down here. So you got every right to say that. I'm going to wait to see because I think it's going to come out. I don't think that there's not a bunch of people like you that aren't going to jump all over this and say, okay, and go back to him and make him make a comment about it. I don't think there's any way that he won't have to comment about it. But till I know what went down with the kid more, if there was 2 or 3 in the car, was he just in the car? Was he driving the car? Was the marijuana his? I've had incidences before where there's 5 kids in a car and somebody's got marijuana and all 5 of them get charged. That's the way it is. And even if one owned up to it, if you're in the car with marijuana, you get charged, George. Now, I think the law is the same way. I don't think that's different. That I remember this happening to me probably 20 years ago with some kids in the off season. And so, but looking at it, You have every right to go there. I didn't have to because you did.
Yeah. Now, here's the difference.
I'm going to watch this close. I want to know the true story of what went down. Is he saying these things because this kid is saying that I didn't do any of this, I just happened to be in the car? Then he has every right to say what he says. If that's not the case and this kid was the driver and all that, I don't know why he popped that statement out. So it's going to be interesting to watch and see.
Okay, here's the difference between this and the Kentucky spat between Calipari and Stoops. In that deal, the AD likely got them in a room and said, shut up. I'm not going to put up with any more of it. We're not going to have in-house bickering. At Alabama, the athletic director is Greg Byrne. His boss is Nick Saban. Now, you can call it whatever you want, but what's Greg Byrne going to do? Basically tell Nick Saban to shut up?
Well, he should.
Please. Well, he should. But the fact of it is,
but it'd be interesting to see if he did that.
Saban is his boss.
I know, that's why he should go straight to Nick and say, Nick, you need to make a comment about this and clear this up because this doesn't look good. If I'm the AD, that's exactly what I do.
Right, but you heard what I said. Saban is Burns' boss.
It
ain't the other way around.
I heard it, and I didn't deny that fact.
No, I know it. This has got all the makings of a great soap opera.
Oh, and this one ain't over either. We talked about the other one not over.
Close.
This one's not over. There will be press. Go to him and ask the question. Are you commenting about this statement? Are you edging toward the basketball deal? What did you mean by this? It's going to happen. There's no doubt.
It is.
Because he did open the door. We will say that for sure.
He absolutely opened it.
He did open the door. Kind of knocked it open, tell you the truth.
Barged it open.
Well, and take this as you wish. The beat writer that asked that question has come out and denied anybody saying that this is a shot at Nate Oates. He said he wasn't taking a shot at Oates in his comments regarding
how does he know that?
The Brandon Miller situation.
Well, that's why he's not a good reporter, and he's prejudiced toward Alabama and Saban, I guess. But because a good reporter, George, which you are, Billy's becoming one, a good reporter goes right back and asks that question, right or wrong.
Are you taking a shot at the basketball? Because that's
you
what
go
it
right and ask that
like.
question immediately if you're a good reporter, right or wrong.
Okay, Billy, what else you got?
Well, we got
nothing quite that interesting.
No, but we do have Cam Newton in the news. He is throwing at Auburn's Pro Day today, indicating that he looks like he's trying to make a comeback into the NFL after sitting out last season. Is he an NFL quarterback still?
Well,
can he still play in the league?
In a couple of others that you didn't report on, Whit Taylor will be throwing at Vanderbilt's Pro Day, and Condridge Holloway will.
Condridge is just a little bit younger than me, babe. So you need to, that one might be going a wee bit too far.
So are you having a pro day?
Me? No.
Okay. I know Whit'll appreciate it.
Mine would be a junior pro day if I had one. It would not be a pro day.
Cam, it is time to.
Is it time to hang it up?
It's time to, get a job with Patino. Get on that staff.
Oh man! Speaking of Patino,
yes, it's funny how that.
Yeah, it all connects. The school he just left, Iona, has up and hired a new coach, Tobin Anderson, the head coach of FDU. They finalized a 5-year deal to make Anderson their next head coach. He's got 22 years of experience, and he just pulled off the biggest upset in tournament history. George, that's the new strategy.
Strike while the iron's hot.
Yep.
Yeah. Keep going.
That's why it's tough, guys. This is why I don't get on the transfer portal when coaches leave. I mean, the whole team does a great job, and who gets out and goes? The coach. And everybody else is left standing there. So, and I'm not on the coach at all, but this is why I say in the transfer portal, if a coach leaves, every player ought to have the opportunity to leave.
And here's where it gets awkward. Okay, they're supposed to have a team banquet at the end of the year to celebrate these great achievements. And instead, what ends up happening is The kids are all, mixed. There's one group saying, I want him there. There's another group saying, screw him. He bolted on us. It's just a very awkward, unfortunate situation. Let's just leave it at that.
It is.
Well, another
very
news.
cynical there.
No.
And I've done it myself, so I'm not on somebody else. More than once I've done it myself.
It happens at radio stations.
Well, George, we've also got...
So do lawsuits.
I didn't say that.
No, I did.
I didn't say that. You did.
I know. I did. I'm on a roll.
We've also got a big baseball game tonight. USA and Japan at 7 o'clock. I'm hearing from some people that this is supposed to be the most watched baseball game maybe ever in the history of the world.
Well, it's the first time the upper deck of the Marlins has ever been used. Patty Hearst had been hiding up there for years, and there have actually been people in that upper deck.
It's been weird seeing that stadium packed.
Watson, here's what's weird about this. There aren't 10 people in Nashville who are bigger baseball fans than I am. I have not gotten into this. I have not watched 2 innings of this.
Why is that?
I don't know. I'm much more Braves and team.
Season hasn't started yet.
First of all, what nobody's admitting, once Edwin Diaz's injury happened, this thing ain't ever happening again. I don't believe.
Well, at least not at the time that it's happening.
Yeah.
I don't like the timing of it, right? Everybody's already in camps and you start the season in 8-9 days? I mean, I don't like the timing of it. I can't imagine them setting it on the date they've set all of this. I just can't see it.
I got to bust in. There is late word out of the NBA. Willis Reed.
I was just going to get to that. Willis Reed has
passes away at the age of 80, and you're going to see some film footage in 69 in Game 7 of the NBA Finals against
Unbelievable.
the
I
Lakers.
see it right now.
Yeah, when he limped out there, that's what got the Knicks the world title. He will forever be in Knick lore for that night.
Nope. Never will I ever forget that.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I was in college, sophomore in college, and I couldn't believe what the guy did.
So, Billy, I've stolen your update.
No, that's fine, George. But the heart and soul of those Knicks teams.
Yeah.
First Knick to have his number retired.
It was DeBusschere. It was Bill Bradley, the United States.
That was a heck of a team.
Yeah, Walt Frazier from SIU. It was Earl Monroe. Earl the Pearl, I believe, was part of that. Yeah.
Earl the Pearl Monroe.
Yeah. Okay. Tony Basilio is going to join us.
I'm looking at pictures of him, by the way. He was a load.
Willis Reed.
Oh, my gosh.
You didn't mess with Willis Reed.
Whew.
Yeah.
He's thick and tall.
Tony Basilio is going to join us by phone in just a couple of minutes. My guess is he'll be equally as cynical as I was about this Nick Saban spout out. And so I guess we're going to the break on that.
We got Action 247.
Let's do that. Let's talk to you about the fact that 45 million of you are betting on NCAA March Madness. Are you? Well, today at Action 24/7, you can use the promo code George and get a 300% deposit match up to $20 on your first deposit. Action 24/7 is Tennessee's only locally owned and operated sports book. That's right. If you got questions, these are good folks who can help you. They're your neighbors located right here in Tennessee. So download the app or visit action247.com to start winning. And please bet responsibly.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from, and for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685. I know it's getting colder. You're not thinking about golf. However, if you're planning an event for next year, let me suggest golf through Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. It's perfect for hosting a corporate or a charitable outing. They've got everything in place to make your event a rousing success. To get more info, call 615-847-5074 or go online to riversidegolflinks.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Well, there's a lot of Rocky Top to get into. First thing we'll find out in a couple of minutes from Tony is how long his post game went Saturday after the big win against Duke. Tony Basilio has been for years a sports talk show host in the Knoxville, Tennessee area, joins us every Tuesday. Tony, I'm going to start with the Saban stuff. The most cynical piece of me believes he's been dying to say what he ended up saying. It's almost like Nicholson on the witness stand in A Few Good Men, where he got goaded, not necessarily goaded, but he got the excuse to say what it is he's been dying to say. What do you think?
Oh, there's no question. Do you think he wants to sit around and hear about a number one basketball team that could win a national championship and take some of his stroke, which of course ain't gonna take any of his stroke, but the other thing is, and it was so obvious the way he chose his words. I mean, it was such an in-your-face, I'm the Godfather here. And I'll tell you the thing I loved about him is how dark his new hair color is. I mean, he's in brand new Nick Saban. I mean, this guy is really going for it, fellas.
I have to go back and look on the hair thing. It's interesting. I made the comment to Watson, and he got a kick out of this, that unlike the Kentucky thing, it's not like Greg Byrne can call him in and say, now look, you all shut the hell up, because Saban's looking at him going, I am your boss, back off.
Well, I mean, the governor of that state could call him and he'd go, I'm your boss, back off. I mean, let's think about it, guys. Tommy Tuberville could call him and he'd say, hey, Tommy, I'm your boss, back off. You might be a United States Senator. I'm the national championship winning coach at the University of Alabama. And by the way, you never will be. I know you're up there in Washington doing whatever it is you're doing, but you're never going to be me. So I just love the choice of words. But I'll tell you this, George, I do believe that if Saban had a kid do what that kid had done and was involved in that, I think Saban would throw that kid off the team. I really do. Just like I think Rick Barnes would have. I know Rick Barnes somebody asked Rick Barnes about handguns earlier this year, and he said, we have 2 rules in this program that I can tell you right now nobody's going to violate. You put your hands on a woman, you're going. And I know his first year here, he had a kid on his team that had a gun incident where he showed a gun basically to a teammate, and he called the kid in and said, "Is that true?" And the kid said, "Yes." And he said, "Goodbye. Pack your stuff and get out." He doesn't play that way. So I just don't think Saban would have kept that guy around. I don't know what got into Alabama on this deal. I don't know, but I think it's real interesting that he went out of his way. Cynical is a good way of putting it, George. I think he took a chance to say, "Hey, this is my campus. Don't mess with my campus." But that kid, I don't know if you guys read the report, like what came out today. The kid was going 141 miles an hour in a police chase, basically with other people around, like he's on one of these cop shows, like On Patrol Live or something. And his excuse was, I was riding with my buddy, and my buddy said, "Stomp on it." So that's what he told the police when they finally caught up with him. And he had several $1,000s in cash. He had several grams of marijuana in prizes. He had scales, the whole thing. So he was obviously distributing. And of course, for the Daily Double, he had the loaded handgun, unlicensed handgun. So I think that I don't think Saban plays with that stuff. Down there, they're so lenient, obviously, on their athletes because they never get in trouble. That when guys like this get into the news, I just don't think Saban plays that way. I just don't think it's who he is.
Yeah, I know we're going to get back to it, but I got to ask, how long was post-game Saturday?
4 hours, 30 minutes.
Are you serious?
Okay,
Ooh.
4:15.
Yeah.
I rounded up.
Okay.
But George, people were really excited. People were calling from all over the country, all over the world. That's Tennessee's 7th Sweet 16 since the year 2000, which is kind of hard to believe.
Yeah.
But they've had success now under multiple coaches, but only one Elite Eight. And so Rick Barnes has a chance to really touch the sky here on Thursday. Interesting matchup for the Vols.
In truth, if we're honest, virtually none of us thought they would beat Duke, and nobody thought they would beat Duke going away, at the end. Kind of give me your take on what has gone on in the last 10 days to get them to this point.
Well, a couple things. First of all, great matchups. Both teams they played are teams that were not going to outscore them. They looked really, really suspect their first game against Louisiana, turned the ball over 18 times. Didn't finish the game well at all. Embarrassingly, I had a few callers that actually called our post game and said that Rick Barnes needs to hang it up, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, whoa. The Vols just won an NCAA tournament game. It's about survive and advance. It always has been. But now we're in an era where style points count. And Tennessee came out, and all the things that went wrong Thursday went right for them on Saturday. They were just flawless. I mean, they didn't turn the ball over. They were excellent at the foul line. They never really allowed Duke a crack of light to get back in it in terms of with the ball handling, and none of that stuff went on. Turned the ball over 4 times. Santiago Vescovi was great. Their seniors were great. They had a out-of-body performance from Olivia Comwa, which postseason, you look at any professional sports, any of these, I'm convinced postseason, your stars are going to be there. Your role players have to do at times exemplary things. And those are the teams that win championships. You think about some of these baseball teams that win or teams in the NFL, it's generally your role player that's going to lift you. And that's what happened. And Tennessee needs more of that. They have a team Thursday night again that they're going to face that can score, that loves to run. Somebody's going to make somebody else play their game. And because Tennessee is very capable, and Como said this about the Duke kids, he said, we could tell they did not want to be drug into the mud with us. He said they think they play in a physical league over there in the ACC, and we just knew. We knew physically we could manhandle them. And George, I ask you, have we ever seen Duke get beat like that? Duke looked helpless. Helpless.
Watson texted me Saturday near the end of it to just say that physically that Duke had gotten the crap kicked out of them. I'll admit I was at the Preds game. I've gone back and watched last night. One of the networks had the replay of it, and it's shocking because when was the last time Duke in a game that mattered looked that bad? Man, it's been a while.
Yeah, and you know what? The kid coaching them, Shire, looks like a nice young guy. Well, I'll tell you what, that fan base isn't going to put up with that. And I know he had a real nice end of the year, but it looks to me like North Carolina and Duke made a couple of hires that are worth watching because, and I know he's handpicked by Krzyzewski, and Krzyzewski wants to work out for him. And I'm sure Watson and seasoned pros down through the years, it probably drives them crazy when guys just think they can walk into these jobs without having been a head coach. It's a lot of stuff to juggle. I don't care what you're coaching. To start at one of those gigs where there's nowhere you can go but down, I don't envy him, and I don't envy the guy at North Carolina either because those are two fan bases that I don't think are going to be very patient with those guys.
Watson, same thing the day Saban gets out of this. The floor is yours. Take it and go.
Well, I mean, Tony's dead right. All these assistants that I've had, God gracious, I would bet 150, maybe more than that through my head coaching time. And till they've ever want them to a T, when they finally become a head coach, they call me and say, I had no idea. And I've always said, Tony, the best assistants are head coaches that have now come back to be assistants again because they now understand what goes on in that chair, and they don't sit there in their own minds and second guess or question you know there's reasons for what's going down, and I think Coach Shire would say that now himself. I've got a lot to learn. I think he's going to be a good coach, but I think he's got a lot to learn. I look at it, Tony, a little differently. I don't think Duke played that bad. I think Tennessee just annihilated them. I don't think anybody beats Tennessee that day. Nobody in the tournament beats Tennessee on that game. And I've watched this team all year, Tony. I said it to George before the NC2A started. Tennessee plays better when everybody's down on them. Tennessee plays better when they're the underdog. And they beat Alabama after losing 2 straight. I think it was to Vanderbilt, Missouri. They play good in those games. And I told George on the air Monday morning, or Monday when we came on yesterday, you saw the interview. If you saw the interview with Coach Barnes after the Louisiana game, and the lady, I think it was a lady, it may have been a guy, but anyway, says, well, you got Duke coming up, Coach. What do you think? And he says, well, everybody in the country says they're already in the Final Four, so I guess we'll just show up and see what happens. When I heard him say that, I said, look out, boys. You're going to get Tennessee's best. And it was their best game, and I don't think anybody in the country beats them on that one day.
You know, classic thing, too, Barnes, another thing he did that was really smart is before they went out and played Duke, he said, guys, your own fan base has turned on you. So
I'm
everybody back home. Nobody thinks you can win. You guys, you know, it's just, which is not true, but it's still, listen, if I'm coaching, people say to me, a guy asked me, he said, what about their tactics? I said, what about them? I said, this is win or go home. I mean, put Euros out there, tell him to rough that guy up, and it's the official's job to blow the whistle. And if they don't blow the whistle, keep putting your body on them. You get 5 fouls, use all 5 of them, son. Because I'll tell you, Euros did not, Watson, he scored a point the other day. He's one of my MVPs in that game.
Oh, yeah.
When he goes out there in the first 3 minutes and he throws that guy to the ground twice, and the second one the guy embellished, but not really. I mean, if you go back and look at it, The second one, he just nudges the guy as if to say, hey, and the guy did sell the call. But the first one, he threw him to the ground like, hey, we're here to play. And then later on, the other center, Adu, hit him with a flying elbow, accidental. It was totally accidental, but cut him wide open. I mean, that guy had to think to himself, what am I, in the UFC here? I mean, and then the coach from FAU, Watson, which I love when these coaches do this, because I said on our postgame the other night, if the FAU coach has any gumption to him at all, the next time he's in front of an open microphone, he says something to the effect of, hey, we're playing basketball Thursday night in the Garden, not football. And what he said was, I just want the officials to know that we're not playing Australian rules rugby here. We're actually going to play basketball. So we expect this thing to be called like a basketball game. Watson, I love when coaches do that, like the stuff Barnes did, and the like those little wrinkles that let you know, hey, these are sharp guys. Like this guy at FAU is a sharp guy. I would do it again. When I go to New York and I'm him, I get before the microphones and I put the pressure on those officials and I say, hey, we want this thing called like a basketball game because Tennessee wants that game to be played in the 50s and the 60s and in the mud and drag them down. And that team wants to get out and run and have freedom of movement in the half court and play their 5-out basketball and their kick, dish, drive stuff and all the things they do. And I had the head coach at MTSU on today, and he said, look, he said, somebody's going to make somebody play their games. He said, this is my favorite thing about this tournament, and especially in college hoops, because even today where everybody's playing similar games, you still get matchups like this where one of those coaches is going to get the other team's kids to play their game. And it's going to be really interesting Thursday night to see what happens.
Well, and it's the same game as Duke, because that's Duke's game, is up and down the floor. And I, I'm going to make two comments. Number one, I didn't see a bunch of fouls that weren't called. It was great. It was physical basketball that was within the rules. So I don't appreciate that. I don't think Tennessee's getting enough credit. Well, they won because the officials, blah, blah, blah. That's basketball and tournament play right there. I've watched it for 50 years. The physical teams stick out more in the tournaments. And so that's not fair. And I hope Tennessee goes out and plays the exact same style and better not listen to that coach and back off. If I'm Tennessee, I go after them, because the way you beat FSU is that FAU is that way. You get in a running gun up and down the floor with him, you're probably going to get beat. UAB tried that, who's a very much so up and down the floor team, and they couldn't beat them. They beat them one time at home, but and so if I'm the Vols, man, I can't wait to go play the same game, because I didn't see a lot of illegalities. I did not. I just saw good defense. And the other thing I saw at the end of that game, which I think is what they need to do to FAU, Duke wore out. Duke did not back off. Duke came at them and tried hard. Their bodies couldn't handle them. Those younger kids and skinnier kids could not handle the Tennessee guys. And I'm going to tell you, Tony, when Duke usually makes their runs about 5 minutes to go, they didn't have nothing in them to make a run. They were wore flat out. I told George in the text, I said, Duke probably won't be able to walk for a week. I mean, they're sore, they're tired, and they tried. They did not back away. I did not think they shied away from Tennessee. They just couldn't handle them. And Tennessee's going to have to play the same style with the same attitude. I just don't want them to go out there now that they're the favorites again and look uptight. The difference in Tennessee Saturday, to me, Tony, was they were loose and playing. They were not uptight like I've seen them a lot during the year. And if they'll play like that again, they not only can make the Elite Eight, they could make the Final Four.
Hey, Tony, before you answer this, a mutual friend of yours and mine passed on this message. Tell Tony B to go play some Hall & Oates and chill. You know who that is?
Wow, that's a little rough for Mark Griffin there.
No, it was not Mark Griffin. Kerry Keating.
The great Kerry Keating. I love the great Kerry Keating.
No,
yes,
we
sir.
both do. We both do. I just thought I'd pass that on. Go ahead and answer. I didn't mean to butt in, but I guess I did mean to butt in.
Well, no, is Kerry in is he in California still?
I think he's out. I think he's out on the West Coast. Yeah.
Yeah, I stopped in one day when he was at Santa Clara and stopped in there, and you'll like the story. So he goes like a lot of these coaches, hey, come over here, I'll get you a shirt. Kerry takes me to their cut, and you better tell him I busted his chops on the air. He gives me like 3 hand-me-down somethings. One thing had like a big old stain on it. I'm like, Kerry, I'm your guy here, man, from Knoxville.
Hey, he told me he's in Raleigh. He's in Raleigh, North Carolina. I didn't know that.
I love Kerry.
Yeah.
You tell Kerry that
good man.
I love him. I need to reach out to him. Good. Yeah, you talk about great people.
Yes.
His father, longtime administrator in it. And I met Kerry when he was a young kid on Buzz Peterson's staff. And he is good, solid people. But, Watson was talking about Tennessee's team playing loose. I thought Rick Barnes was loose the other day, guys. And I think that's a key here. Look, you've gotten to the Sweet 16. Just relax and let your kids play. Just let them go. You have seniors. Let them be themselves. Let the freshman Phillips kind of turn him loose a little bit. But Watson, you said it. If Tennessee gets pulled into that up and down game by that team, they'll be the team with their tongues hanging out with 5 minutes to go. They do not want to get pulled into that team's game. That team is absolutely wow the way they play. I just love matchups like this. And I love the concept that this Tennessee team that's kind of warred with their fan base, like you say, Watson, it's so true. These guys do their best when the fans are chirping at them and they're chirping at the fans. And a couple of the guys said to the game, we don't want you on our bandwagon now, and that kind of thing. And which I always laugh about. And then they say, well, how many NIL deals do you have for me? I'm like, guys, I don't know if I'd be saying that out loud in the NIL era. I'm not sure it's a smart thing to say, but we're willing to forgive everything. I take a bunch of idiotic callers. So on post-game shows that want coaches fired after winning an NCAA tournament game. So touche, I suppose. But at the same time, Thursday, I think for Tennessee fans that are my age, like I'm in my mid-50s, I don't think we've ever seen Tennessee this close to the Final Four before in terms of the path. I think they have a really great opportunity. This Florida Atlantic team is highly beatable if you take care of your business. And then you get either Kansas State or Michigan State. It's not your vintage Michigan State team. The guy's done a terrific job to get them to that point. And Kansas State is highly beatable because Tennessee could beat them up front. Now, Kansas State has 2 great guards, but they're highly beatable in terms of physically things you could do to them. So I just think this is a wonderful draw if Tennessee can handle Thursday. I think if they handle Thursday, well, I'm not even going to say what I was getting ready to say because I don't want to jinx anything. So,
Watson, you got 1 minute.
Well, I just think it's a great matchup, and Tennessee is the favorite here, in my opinion, because they just played a team just like them. That's Duke style. Everybody can run up down the floor. Everybody can dribble. Big men can go out and shoot. This is Duke style. They just beat it, and now they just get to line up and play it again. I don't even think he'll be changing much of a game plan, to be very honest.
I think it's going to be really interesting to see how this thing plays out. And one thing about Madison Square Garden is it's a weird gym. It's a hard gym to shoot in. Tennessee had one of their worst shooting days, I think, in the modern era last year when they played Texas Tech up there. It was I think they immediately took the films and destroyed them after that game was over. But gentlemen, I appreciate you. And hey guys, football has started, and Nico started 4th on the depth chart. So Josh Heupel's already doing bits with his quarterback situation.
Did you see Hendon Hooker's numbers that they came out with? He is number 1 quarterback in quarterback rating outside the pocket of all of them, and number two rating in the pocket. I'm telling you, no later than 2nd round. I'm sticking to my gun.
I'm starting to think, George, that Watson Brown knows a few things about football. After our interaction for the past 8 months together.
You know what? I think you're right. And it's not just Mac feeding him info.
Oh, geez.
How about that? Yeah, we heard some of your inside info you were getting, Watson, during the football season. No problem. We knew about it.
No, I'm just kidding. And he knows I'm just kidding. Hey, so your post game should begin around 9:00 Knoxville time. If they win,
yes,
the light of day, perhaps.
Oh boy, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Well, tell them how to listen.
Yeah, so we're at tclub.team. Like today, I've got a couple thousand word blog up with all kinds of facts, figures, interesting kind of things. I ranked the 16 teams left today on the blog, and tomorrow we've got some really interesting stuff, including several breakdowns of that Florida Atlantic team from several different vantage points. And shoot me Kerry's number if you don't mind.
I'll do it.
There, George. And guys, it was a real pleasure talking to you. By the way, NC State announced today they're opening the 24 season with the Vols in one of these professional stadiums. And I am so tired of college football played in these. Don't even get me started.
I'm with you on that one, buddy. I'm right beside you.
So silly. So silly.
Hey, take care.
Thank you, guys.
Talk to you, Tony.
See you, T.
Thank you.
We'll go to the break. How do we top that? We'll try to figure it out when we come back.
Jody Jones has as nice a dental facility as you'll find anywhere. Let's go in and take a look.
Are you in the market for a new dentist? Maybe you're new to Nashville? Well, the place to go is Jody Jones Dentistry at 55 Music Square East, and their new facility is absolutely state-of-the-art. Jody mixes quality with comfort for the perfect dental experience. He's trusted for his creative design and committed to both the function and aesthetics of your smile. Jody is simply the total package. Don't wait. Make an appointment now at 615-259-5100.
Hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd, the goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Experience Predators hockey all season long. Visit NashvillePredators.com/season tickets and join the Loyal Legion today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets, and we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
Now, all kidding aside, because understand, Watson and I bust on each other constantly. But watching the tape, the replay of the Tennessee game last night, Watson is 100% correct in Tennessee playing looser Saturday than we have seen at any point in a good while. I don't know if they just took a collective exhale after they held on to beat Louisiana, but that was a different looking bunch. Watson's dead on right about that. Watson, the other thing I think Tony is dead on right about, and that is the path to get to the Final Four. Not that anything's easy in the NCAA tournament, but the options facing Tennessee are not Godzilla.
No, and I look at that two ways. You can look at it glass half empty, glass half full, but they have not done well when they have been favorites. And they're going to be heavy favorites in both of these games. And so they're going to have to turn some things around and I think they can, because I think they're on a roll, and I think they've kind of found their chemistry and the way they're playing. They're rolling the guards in and out. They're not letting one guy just be the point guard, and everybody's sharing it. And so I think they're a different team. But, George, they've got to prove to me they can handle being favorites, because that's when I see them get uptight.
He brought up the Garden, and it's a really interesting point, Watson. I remember we took my year at Memphis State, a really good team that ended up in the field of 32 at the end, to play the eventual national champion, Kansas, and neither team shot well that night. I don't know what it is about the Garden, but I think he's right about that.
Well, but another plus for Tennessee, they've been there. Most of these kids were in there last year when they played Texas Tech. Nearly every one of these kids were. There's a few freshmen that weren't, but another plus for Tennessee. I did not realize they'd played in the Garden a year ago.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic that they've been there. They're probably going right back to the same hotel. It's probably just going to be like they were there last year, and that's fantastic if you ask me.
Billy, didn't they lose that game?
Which one?
Against Texas Tech?
Yeah, I think they did.
At the Garden, where they shot miserably.
Yeah.
So, Watson, it may be the other way around. They may stay in Jersey.
They probably stay where the NC2A tells them to.
You know what? Come to think of it.
If you really want to know the truth.
If you want your check, this is where you're going to stay.
You pick your check up at this hotel, boys.
You know, Watson hit something.
In a related note, Coach Saban, you will have the presidential suite at Alabama's place. After all, you are the athletic director.
Watson hit something I thought was really good about Tennessee. They're the favorite now. I mean, they weren't the favorite against Duke, right? Duke was
no.
Duke was a 3-point
favorite. Okay, so now they're the favorite.
Well, and everybody thought they were going to lose.
Right.
It wasn't just 3 points. Everybody thought Duke was beating them. Everybody.
Right. Now they head into an FAU matchup where they are the favorite. They're supposed to beat FAU. Yep. How do they handle that? That's a great point. And you're in the Garden. The bright lights are on you. Even though you're not, this isn't really the heralded matchup of the weekend, but this is a big matchup a lot of people will be watching. So that's what I'm looking for. How does Tennessee adjust to that, the spotlight on them and the pressure on them now? Not that it wasn't against Duke, but it really wasn't.
By the way, I love the fact, Watson, that it's at the Garden. Yeah. But the NCAA tries to homogenize these courts where you can't tell where they are. And I hope they leave the Garden alone. The Garden's pretty damn good without the NCAA.
Well, do what Duke did to Cameron. Just clean it up, redo some things, but don't change anything in it. It is so iconic. I hated to see the Celtics do that. I really did. There's just certain places that are iconic, and Duke was so smart just to redo the place. And it's worked well for them. It doesn't hold that many, but still. You can't get in it. There's a hard ticket to get. And the Garden's not been open for NC2A because it's been NIT for so long, George. And now that they're out of that contract, I think we'll be going to the Garden quite a bit. I hope they do every year, tell you the truth. In some form or fashion, I hope they go to the Garden every year.
The Eastern Regional, it belongs there. It is the mecca of college basketball. And it's a shame it took this long for this to happen.
Yep, I agree.
Okay. We're going to come back. We'll go stat of the day. Then we've got a bunch of pro football stuff to talk to you about. Then we'll get a live update from First Horizon Park, where Lipscomb and Vandy are scheduled to play tonight at 6 o'clock. Our David Wilson is out there to take care of all of it. So we got plenty coming, and hopefully a couple of winners in Plaster Bet of the Day. However, based on the last 96 hours, maybe not. Stay tuned.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? Wow.
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
This is my buddy and former Nashville Sounds PA announcer Eric Berner. I always laughed in the old days at Greer Stadium when I would walk in, Eric would immediately play my favorite song, Van Halen's Jump. But then I learned he actually has a real job with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors.
Yeah, George, that's what I do. I help people in the pursuit of making their money live as long as they do. Everybody's situation is different, so I use a customized and individualized, personalized approach to the person I'm working with. Old 401ks, retirement planning, insurance planning, inheritance planning. Those are things that people like to get some more information about.
One of the things I find is people don't even know where to start, and that's where you come in.
Yeah, so I can usually help people with an initial phone call or meeting that is a no charge and no obligation.
And I'll bet you have a phone number and a website.
I do, George. They can call me at 615-235-1058 or rockcastlewealth.com or Eric at rockcastlewealth.com.
Welcome to John English Antique Sports and Cards, located at 204 East Depot Street in beautiful downtown Shelbyville, Tennessee. Their phone number is area code 931-492-4304. John, obviously, I've been blown away by what I've seen at your place. I've now been there 3 times. But for the person who's never been, what should they expect?
Well, we have a 3,000 square foot store, George. Half of it is vintage cards in all sports. And then half of the store is, a lot of people call it the museum, where there's a lot of early equipment and just the history of sports in general. Baseball, football, basketball, golf, tennis, and other items.
When somebody comes in there that you know is a big sports fan, what is their normal reaction?
Well, I think that they're pleasantly surprised, and of course, being in Shelbyville, Tennessee, which is a small town that you would never expect a shop like we have to be in. So they're kind of, I don't want to say blown away, but as I said, pleasantly surprised.
All right, stat of the day before we talk a little NFL on this Tuesday. Brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards out in Shelbyville. Give them a call at 931-492-4304, or you can find them at 204 East Depot Street. They're open during the week, Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5. Also Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Go check them out. All right, let's get to stat of the day, see what David's got cooked up for us today. And we're going March Madness. We're going on the women's side of things. This year marks the 41st tournament in NCAA women's basketball history. There has been only one school to appear in every tournament since 1982. Can you name that school?
It's got to be Tennessee, isn't it?
Wouldn't there be 3 possibilities?
Watson said Tennessee.
Okay, hold on. He and I are going to talk this one through a little.
Okay.
Tennessee's an obvious. UConn's an obvious. Could La Tech be another obvious?
No, not recently. They haven't been getting in recently, I don't think. They've fallen off some in recent years. I'm not sure UConn was rolling in 82. They started rolling when they hired whatever his name is that's
Gino.
coaching there now. I think it's Tennessee.
Okay. Let's go with Tennessee and just see how this plays. Nice. Well done, Watson.
Big Orange.
You know, yeah. And look at that picture. God, we lost Pat Summitt way, way too early.
Is that Tyler?
I guess it is. Yeah.
Yes,
Man, he was little.
Wow.
That explains how far back they go.
Yeah.
And that success. 8 national titles. That's unbelievable.
Pretty good stuff.
And all of them hers.
Yeah.
That's unheard of. I mean, 8 national titles.
No.
She used to get upset when I would have her on and I would call her the John Wooden of the women's game. She didn't like that. But in truth, Watson, that's what she was.
No, and I don't do this very often. When I had to hire a women's basketball coach at one of the places I was as AD, I went straight to her. I went straight to Pat, and she put me on 3 people, and I hired one of those 3 and interviewed all 3 of them. So she was mighty good to me.
How many of those calls do you think she got?
Oh, probably a ton.
She probably answered every one too.
I mean, Pat and I weren't. We did go into the Tennessee thing together, but other than that, we weren't close friends. And George, she spent quite a bit of time talking to, what are you looking for?
Yeah.
What kind of personality do you want in your coach? Blah blah blah. And I'll have to admit, all 3 were all assistants, and all ended up being really good head coaches in today's game. Unbelievable.
Well, she's got to be up there for one of the greatest coaches ever in any sport, not just the sport of basketball.
Oh, no doubt. I think she compares to anybody on either side, men or women.
In basketball in our lifetime, could your, what do you call it? The 4 Mount Rushmore. Could it be John Wooden, Mike Krzyzewski, Pat Summitt, Gino Auriemma?
Very well could be. Very well could be. And just in tenure and lasting a long time and staying good through their whole time, I'd say you couldn't have named 4 better ones to me, George.
If you are listening to the show live and you want to throw in your Mount Rushmore, Billy, how could they do that? This just came up. This is not something.
No, we didn't talk about that, but I don't disagree with any of the 4 you threw up there. That's
your Mount Rushmore
of basketball,
college basketball,
coaches, okay.
Men or women.
If you've got Mount Rushmore ideas for college basketball coaches, men or women, go to that search bar on the right side of that YouTube channel, of our YouTube channel where you're watching. Fire those questions in there. I'll see them and I'll send them over to George and Watson. So we'll see what we get here.
Okay, we're now officially into the 3 o'clock hour.
Yes, we are.
The truth of it is, it was 4 minutes ago. Welcome. So, Watson, one of the things that I think you got right way earlier than everybody else, and there's no way to prove it yet, but the Lamar Jackson thing is going to end up in a lawsuit.
Yeah, I'm afraid it is. And golly bum, George, that's not good for Lamar. It's not good for the Ravens. It's not good for the NFL. It's sad that we're to this point with this, because this is a great player. MVP of the league, his record, you put his record up there. It's unbelievable. And what they've had him do to win those games. I mean, he's been absolutely the kingpin for his team, running and throwing and all he's done. And now he's kind of being pushed aside and everybody's afraid to go here or been told not to go here. Gosh, I hope that's not true. And I still, George, you know me because you get on. Sometimes I'm not tough enough, and I agree with you. But how does this not, somebody not take him? Before this is over, how does this not happen? I just don't know. Or somebody comes in and throws it out, and then the Ravens come back and up it more and get him out of this tag that they put on him and sign him to a contract. I just hope it doesn't end up right going into camp, and here we are, and he is sitting out for the year. I do not think he will play for the Ravens under what it is right now. I don't think he'll do it, and I don't know that it's the money or anything. I think it's just the principle that there's been some
too much
feelings hurt
blood
here. Yeah, part because Lamar did it, part because of the Ravens. It always takes two to tango, but this is sad, man. It is really, really sad.
See if you at all buy this. I don't doubt that when all of this shakes out, we're going to find out that somebody in the NFL office researched very closely the Peter Ueberroth collusion case with Major League Baseball in the mid-'80s. Now, that's right in my baseball wheelhouse.
Yeah, you can talk about that. You have to me before.
He basically, at an owners meeting, told them, you've got to stop signing people or this free agency stuff's going to get out of control. And a lot of you will remember the Cubs, basically Andre Dawson gave the Cubs a blank contract and said, you fill in the numbers. Well, they filled in something that was pretty low ball. He hit 49 homers, and I think it was 87, became the National League's most valuable player that year. Baseball got ripped to shreds in that case because it got very obvious what Ueberroth had done and that the owners had played along with it. Watson, I don't doubt that the NFL has looked very closely at that case and said, okay, we can't go to that extent, but I do think there's something going on.
Well, it looks like they've gone to that extent right now, doesn't it? I mean,
it does.
Nobody even formally brings him in and talks to him to offer him or not offer him. Nobody throws their name in the hat that we want to talk to him and we may make this offer. I don't get that, George. This guy is one of the top 10 quarterbacks out of the 32 in the league right now, and I'm probably not being good to him. I mean, I'm probably not, and I just, gosh, Lamar's got to be sitting there saying, I shouldn't have gone about this the way I did, but he's not changing. I understand now he's got somebody talking to teams, but he's not his agent. But how in the world does somebody at this point not have made some kind of move to at least bring him in to talk to him?
Okay. Would you agree that what it really says is how pissed off the owners were at what Haslam did in the Deshaun Watson case, and then they closed ranks and probably have put him on double secret probation, and said, you ever do anything like this again, and, we'll send your franchise, to Baltimore or who knows where. I mean,
that's so bad. That's so bad.
I know it was, but doesn't that really say how bothered they are by that move?
Well, honestly, George, I'd have been bothered by the move if I was any one of the other 31 teams. It's ridiculous. You give a complete guaranteed 200, however many million it was, guaranteed, and the guy's in trouble as it was, off the field problems, and you go do that. It just don't look good at all for the NFL. If I'm an owner, I'd have been upset. But that don't mean that I'm just going to stop and not at least pursue a guy and see how far I could go maybe to get him. Maybe I don't have to go near that high. I think Lamar's going to listen a lot more now after what's gone down. And Lamar's also looking, George, at none of the quarterbacks that are signing are getting that kind of money. They're not even coming close to getting that kind of money. So I think Lamar might be ready to listen now. And his figures might not be as high as they were.
We got Logan in the chat room. He said Lamar won't hire an agent to save 10%, but he's costing himself a lot more by being greedy.
I do think he is, in the end, Watson, costing himself a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm afraid so. I didn't go there early. The longer this has gone, I think he needs a professional in the room helping him with this. And he needed to keep the personalness out of it with the Ravens, George. And I said this to you 3-4 weeks ago, and you're the one that brought it up about that's hurting Lamar. And I kind of defended it a little bit, saying I've never had one. But the longer it's gone, I agree with you. And I think the personalness is really what's hurt him with the Ravens, and not having a representative out there talking to these teams that, hey, this guy's really interested in you guys. If you'll talk to him, he's really interested. And it's hard for Lamar to do that. And geez, it's sad. And the guy that typed that into us, he may be right. I can't imagine. I think it's more just Lamar wanting to do it himself. I don't know if he's trying to save 10%. But he may be right. That may be what made him do that.
Isn't the agent fee more in the 3 to 4% range?
I thought it was maybe 6. It's 4 to 6 now, I think, somewhere in there. It's a little more.
Well,
it's not 10.
Tomorrow I'll be trying to be an agent.
Well, and another thing here, George, is are teams as interested in him now after all this? You know, or do you think that doesn't, like, has this changed anything from a team saying, but we don't want to deal with that?
Okay, but would you not admit that this is a league that winning
at all
supersedes
costs.
Everything?
Yes.
So why all of a sudden is it not superseding? How are the Redskins, who go in right now with Rivera saying that Sam Howell is the starter, how could they not be investigating this? And I don't mean that as a shot at Sam Howell, because I really like that kid.
No, but I mean, this is a proven MVP guy in the league. It's a little different than a rookie going to basically start his second game when the season starts. I think he started the last game of the year for the Commanders. And George, I'm 100% behind you. I still think there's something fishy within this. I can't imagine 31 other teams not looking into this and seeing. But an agent would help Lamar right now by going out and saying, look, I don't think the dollars we were shooting at now that a lot of these other quarterbacks have signed is we're not up there now. We're ready to discuss. He needs that. He can't get on the phone, talk to an owner that way or a GM that way. I mean, you can't do that as a player. He needs help with that.
Yeah. So it would seem to me if the Redskins are case number one, the most obvious of obvious. Number two to me would be the Falcons. Right now they go in with Desmond Ridder. Nothing against Desmond Ridder. He may end up being a really good pro. But Lamar Jackson's proven a little more than Desmond Ridder has.
Well, we've got a Falcons fan in the chat. It's kind of funny. Logan, he says, I hope they don't sign Lamar.
Yeah. Well, okay. Then a third one could be Indy, except the belief that, okay, whether they end up at the 4 spot where they are now, or they trade up to get to the 3, which Mel Kiper is rumoring, and we'll get to that in the next segment. Listen, they have had more quarterbacks. You think about who all they've gone with: Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan. I'm missing one before Rivers.
Matt, I think it was Rivers and then Ryan, right? After
Luck. But there's a third
I think
one.
Luck was their last good one, and then they've gone through, gosh.
Yeah, they've had bad luck.
They've had bad luck.
Yeah.
They haven't hit on anybody. Brissett was for a year.
The whole thing seems
probably another
fishy.
one we're not thinking about, George. You're right. But, yeah, they've had rotten luck since Andrew Luck pulled out.
And look, could you make an argument that the Titans ought to be looking, at least investigating?
For sure. If they're not looking this year, then next year they got to look free agent and the draft. But I don't think if they have a solid year, and I think they will, I still don't think their division's going to be great. It's improving. People are getting better. But I still think if the Titans finish out this stuff that they're doing now with their free agent, I still think they'll be higher up in the league and it'll probably be no lower than a 10. And you're just not going to get one of those quarterbacks picking 10th.
So remember this, in the Titans division, think about the established young quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. Enough said there. You've got the second one will be Houston, who will either get C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young, correct?
Right.
Correct.
And the third one, Indy, that's likely to try to trade up, I don't know, Will Levis, whether he's good enough to truly be the third. That's what the rumor is, that they will trade up to get him. So the other three teams in the division will have all declared their quarterback of the future. The Titans will be the only one that really can't say that.
Yeah, it looks like the Texans and the Colts are going to take quarterbacks this year. So we're going to be playing with a guy in his last year of his contract and would be 35 then, right? 35? Yeah.
Yeah.
They got to move next year at the latest. That's why I still think they're watching everything closely right now. I do. I don't think it's total done deal with Tannehill. I think it's 90% Tannehill, but I think they're still watching. We've heard the little rumors about Lamar Jackson with the Titans guys. I've read that here the last couple of weeks, and I don't think they've shut the door yet, even though I do think they're leaning toward Tannehill one more year.
Well, and going by what Mel Kiper has right now, he's got the Texans taking Bryce Young via a trade with the number 1 overall pick with the Bears, and he's got the Colts taking C.J. Stroud.
So you just took our next segment and decided to...
Well, that's a little teaser.
Yeah, well...
saying basically those could be the quarterbacks in the AFC South.
Doesn't the host do that?
I can put out teasers.
Good
George,
for you.
We've got some chat room activity.
Do we now?
Don chimes in and says, wooden. Well,
you know what?
Mount
so
Rushmore.
what we do is we put a big one of John Wooden next to that Hollywood sign, and then we do the rest.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've also got Trevor on Twitter, John Wooden, Bob Knight, Dean Smith, and Gino Auriemma. Those are his 4.
Well, now, how do you leave her out if you put him in?
Probably doesn't like the University of Tennessee. That's what I would assume. But you've got to have Pat Summitt in there
somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't
know. By the way, there are no right answers or wrong answers.
No, all those names could be on there.
Those aren't exactly chopped liver.
That's not chopped liver. Everybody's naming. No.
If you're just going men's, Wooden, Knight, Dean would be in there. Who would be that 4th? That's another question.
Well, okay, name those
Knight,
again.
Who'd you say? Krzyzewski, probably.
Krzyzewski has to be ahead of both of them in a day and age where you've got a 64 or 68 team field. What did he got to 10 or 11 Final Fours? Mm-hmm. To me, that's very close to Wooden winning all of what he won, because his was a 16 team field, not 64.
A little bit easier.
Well, it was. I don't mean to take anything from John Wooden, but that is a fact. By the way, guess what we're going to talk about when we come back?
Quarterbacks.
Yeah. You stole our tease. When we come back, we'll let Billy host it and see how it works. Stay tuned. Hey.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Okay. 45 million of you are betting on March Madness. Are you one of those 45 million? Well, today at Action 24/7, you can use the promo code George. I know I've arrived. I got a promo code. And get a 300% deposit match up to $20 on your first deposit. Action 24/7 is Tennessee's only locally owned and operated sports book. Why do I say that? Because these folks are your neighbors. They are potentially your friends, especially if you win. But more importantly, if you have a question or a dispute, they're going to get back to you quickly, because that's the way we operate in and around this area. That's what being a good neighbor in the state of Tennessee is all about. Download the app or visit action247.com to start all that winning. Please bet responsibly. Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685. I know it's getting colder. You're not thinking about golf. However, if you're planning an event for next year, let me suggest golf through Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. It's perfect for hosting a corporate or a charitable outing. They've got everything in place to make your event a rousing success. To get more info, call 615-847-5074 or go online to riversidegolflinks.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
So earlier today, Mel Kiper and what appears to be a receding hairline released his mock draft, which takes place, what would it be, about 6 weeks from now in Kansas City. Looks like the little piece up here is kind of moving up quite a bit for Mel.
He's doing his best.
I have always thought that if you could put a golf ball in his hair, you'll get a great lie in the fairway.
It'd be borderline rough to me, George.
Yeah.
I don't think we're getting Mel on anytime.
Pretty heavy rough, yes, me.
The other one would be to put it in that Brillo pad of Rick Pitino's. God. You know, I've never seen hair that changed as much. You look at him in the 20s, and now look, man, the hairstyle has really changed.
Yeah, it's gotten a little curly and a little darker.
The Brillo
or
pad.
a little lighter.
Yeah.
It's not great.
So,
a little lighter color.
So we have a graphic. That
No,
will show,
I told you over the break I didn't have it, George.
Oh, I didn't hear it. I didn't hear that. Okay.
But I've got the list in front of me and I can read it off.
So you'll read it to us.
Yeah. Do we want to go with number 1 first? Or?
Well, I think that'd be a good place to start.
Okay. I didn't know if you wanted to go in reverse order.
Right.
Or not.
Number 1, Stetson Bennett. No.
Yep. Stetson Bennett going to the Texans. No, Bryce Young, as I mentioned, via a mock trade with the Bears, Bryce Young headed to the Texans, apparently.
Oh, hold on a minute. That's not correct. Watson, what kind of info is he putting out there? Carolina has the first pick. What are you looking at?
This is Mel Kiper's.
Are you looking at the Texans website where they speculate they got the first pick? Carolina has the first pick. and they're going C.J. Stroud, according to Mel Kiper and his hair. Watson, so we know in some form or fashion, Carolina, Houston are going to go Bryce Young and or C.J. Stroud. Which one, if you were sitting in that chair to make that decision and you had Carolina's pick, who would you go with?
I would go both C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young were major players, great stats, made big plays in the heat, brought their team back many times. C.J. Stroud's a little bigger, a little taller. I would probably go C.J. Stroud because I think their abilities are probably just two peas in a pod.
He called it earlier today a flip of the coin.
Yep, me too.
Do you think it's razor's edge either way?
I do, in performance and just being a little smaller, a little shorter, been injured more than CJ. I would just go Stroud, I think. But honestly, I don't think it'd matter. Either one of them I would be excited to get. They're both winners and going to be great pros.
Okay, if you're Frank the Third Reich and the GM in Carolina, what ultimately, at some point you have to turn in the envelope with a name. What's the deciding factor? Because my guess is they don't know right now.
I don't know what the deciding factor would be because I've said it all along. This draft of quarterbacks has two guys that are high in performance, but not real big guys, and two guys that have all the twos that didn't perform. But they've got more of the twos as far as arm strength and size and all of that. And I don't see the perfect guy on the board. The perfect guy, in my opinion, was Hendon Hooker, who got hurt. He had the size. He's 6'4". He's 220. He had all the performance off the charts with both Stroud and Young. He was right there with him on performance. And but he's injured and he's a little older. He's 25, the way I understand it. And these kids are probably a couple of years younger. So I don't see the perfect one. But I don't know if there is such a thing anymore, George.
Okay, let me try it this way. Are you saying if Hooker had not gotten hurt, that he would be the first pick in the draft?
I don't know, but he would have been up there. Yes. No less than 3, in my opinion. I think that much of the kid.
Okay.
Play, and we saw every game because we had to talk about every game. So we had to watch Tennessee play every football game because it was a big part of our show early in the week. And
sure,
I'm telling you, he lined up and played Bryce Young, and I thought that day he outplayed him. And that's hard to do because Bryce Young played one heck of a game.
Yes.
He played a heck of a game.
Watson, right now, the third pick is not Indianapolis's. It's Arizona's.
Right.
Kiper believes, and I sort of do too, that they'll swap picks. It won't cost a lot, I wouldn't think, for the swap, and that what would happen is that Indy would then swoop in and get a guy they're very familiar with because Lexington and Indy are not that far away. They'd go with Will Levis. Okay, we've all got opinions on Will Levis, and let me get yours. What's the good? What's the not so good?
The good is height, weight, foot speed, arm strength. He's got touch. I've seen him throw deep balls well. I've seen him. The bad is he didn't perform up to NFL standards. He did not perform up to NFL standards this year. I think he has the lowest passer rating of all of the, including Hendon Hooker, of all of them, as far as performance during his senior college or his last year of college ball. I personally am a performance guy. I've done it before and lost. I don't take somebody that's got it but ain't done it yet. I don't do that. Not a quarterback. And he was better as a junior. Yes, go back and watch that. He did get injured. He didn't have the talent around him in his last year playing he did the year before. I get all that.
Aren't you skipping the big one, though?
What's that?
Think about this. Bryce Young, Alabama. C.J. Stroud, Ohio State. Richardson, who will end up being the fourth quarterback according to this mock draft, and we'll get there in a minute. Of those four quarterbacks, Will Levis had by far, not even close, the worst offensive line going. How do you factor that in?
I don't know. I'm not a scout. All I can do is go by performance. I saw the young man throw balls when heat wasn't on him in wrong places. I thought he lost his cool some during the season. I didn't like that.
Right.
I just don't like a quarterback losing it. He is the leader whether he wants to be or not. And I just didn't ever want to play with one that couldn't keep his cool. Matter of fact, I'd be in practices doing everything I could to upset them. Because if they could handle me during the week, then they could handle Saturdays. And I'd flat get after them and challenge them and do everything in the world to upset them in some ways. But then on Saturday, I hugged them at that point. I just want performance.
Okay.
He is the worst when you look at the grades of the quarterbacks of the five, and I put Hendon in this always. Out of the pocket grade was by far the lowest. It was in the 60s. Hendon Hooker's was 88 out of the pocket. Will Levis is 60s out of the pocket. That's where you're having to live and make decisions on your own. The play is broke down. You're now having to make plays yourself. I think that's one of the greatest ways to look at great quarterbacks. Whit Taylor's the best I ever had at it. He get out of a pocket. I'd want to push him out of pocket sometimes because his decision making when he got outside and run, throw it to this guy, throw it to that guy. And that's where Will Levis has been poor, is out of the pocket, George. He's very good at rhythm passer in the pocket. But for some reason, and I'm not saying he won't end up being, you're asking me to grade him. If you're in the top four quarterbacks coming out, you're a pretty damn good player. Don't take it that I don't think he can play in the NFL. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just grading him for you the way I see it.
Okay. Let me ask this question. In his draft where he has Indy moving up a spot and flip-flopping with Arizona, he's got Arizona going with Will Anderson from Alabama, and I think everybody can understand that one. He's got Seattle, who has signed Geno Smith for what we think is short-term, taking Anthony Richardson from Florida.
Really?
First of all, should there be a discussion of Levis versus Anthony Richardson?
Yeah, but Anthony's height, weight, foot speed, arm strength, all of that was unbelievably good at the combine. So maybe arm strength's about the same. Anthony Richardson's a little taller. He's much faster. This kid ran 4.43 something, I think, in the combine at 243 pounds, for God's sakes. Think of look at Lamar Jackson right now, and he was in the 4.3s when he was brought out of college, but he didn't have the other things. He's turned himself into that. This kid has all the twos, but did not play consistently in their offense. And again, it wasn't a great offense. Is that the quarterback's fault? To me, you throw out everything and watch him in critical plays in the game. And I thought he was inconsistent in critical plays. You want to watch him play fantastic? Watch the Tennessee game.
Watch the Utah game.
Yeah, he played fantastic, but he didn't do it week after week after week. You'd watch him 2 games later, and you'd go, is this the same guy? I don't know. I'm being hard because I am a hard quarterback coach.
Right. Is there
I'm being very hard on these kids
where these teams should be saying, you know what? Hooker's better than either one of them. If we have to wait a year, so be it.
I think he's going to somebody that can wait a year. That's what I think is going to happen. Somebody, maybe even in the first round, no later than the second, is going to take him because they can wait a year. The Titans, it'd be perfect, but I don't think they can do it. They've got too many other things they've got to take, George. And they just took one in the third round last year. So, and he's got a lot to prove that he was worth that third round. So I can't see the Titans doing it, even though that's the perfect guy. You got a quarterback. Seattle's a perfect guy, but I can understand taking Richardson over that because of the injury, and he is 25. That makes him 26 before he'd be playing for you. And that cuts his years down. That cuts his number of years to be your starter.
But
even though I'm not sure in today's world that's true anymore, these guys are going to start playing longer and longer, George, in my opinion, because they don't touch them. They don't get touched anymore. They don't get hurt the same way.
But you would have to, in the Titans case, think about these things. Supposedly you're going to move into a new stadium. I know what their fan base situation is. It's an incredibly soft market. Hendon Hooker could change that dramatically, by signing up a bunch of Tennessee fans who may or may not really care about the Titans, but are absolutely devoted to Hendon Hooker.
Absolutely, George. I don't think you do a draft that way for that reason, but you're dead on. I mean, that's one of the pluses in taking him in Nashville is you're going to turn a lot of people on in the state and surrounding states that are big Orange fans. I mean, but you don't do it for that reason.
But
I personally think if he hadn't got hurt, he would have been no later than the third guy picked in the draft.
Would you be more open to this if they had not used last year's 3 on Malik Willis?
Yes, I think that's part of the reason I don't see them doing it because they can't give up on that 3 yet. They just can't. And the other reason is too many things in the draft they've got to get. And I just don't think they can go quarterback right now. They'll say, okay, we just can't do this. We'll go free agent next year, or we'll try to move up in the draft to get one, but we just can't do it this year. We got to stick with Ryan one more season and then worry about it after that. If they hadn't taken Malik Willis, they might have gone after one, but they can't do it.
Give me
did you see where Josh Dobbs went to Cleveland?
Yes, I did.
And they let him go?
Mm-hmm.
So that's telling me they think Malik is getting better.
Yeah.
Because I don't know that I'd have let him go.
Oh, they better be sure about that.
I didn't understand that at all.
Yep. He sure did. Let him go, and Cleveland took him.
Good for Dobbs.
Good for Dobbs, but the Malik Willis we saw in December, there's no way in hell you could make that decision.
No, but now we know why they came out and made the statement they made about him in the offseason, George, because they knew they were letting Dobbs go and he was going to end up signing with somebody else. That's why they made that statement.
How could they know that, though, given that these players, am I right, are not allowed in the facility?
Oh, but they can be working out at high school right around the corner, and they go watch him. And there's all kind of ways.
Right.
Believe me, they're doing that. Everybody does that.
So I know we're going to go to the break. I see Jeff Forehand, the head baseball coach at Lipscomb University, getting ready to talk to us live from Horizon Park, home of the Nashville Sounds. First Horizon. What did I call it? Horizon. I was thinking Horizon League. What in the world? First Horizon Park, home of the Nashville Sounds. At 6:00 tonight, Lipscomb and Vandy will do battle. We'll talk to Coach Jeff Forehand next. Jody Jones has as nice a dental facility as you'll find anywhere. Let's go in and take a look. Are you in the market for a new dentist? Maybe you're new to Nashville? Well, the place to go is Jody Jones Dentistry at 55 Music Square East. And their new facility is absolutely state-of-the-art. Jody mixes quality with comfort for the perfect dental experience. He's trusted for his creative design and committed to both the function and aesthetics of your smile. Jody is simply the total package. Don't wait. Make an appointment now at 615-259-5100.
This is my buddy and former Nashville Sounds PA announcer Eric Berner. I always laughed in the old days at Greer Stadium when I would walk in, Eric would immediately play my favorite song, Van Halen's Jump. But then I learned he actually has a real job with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors.
Yeah, George, that's what I do. I help people in the pursuit of making their money live as long as they do. Everybody's situation is different, so I use a customized and individualized, personalized approach to the person I'm working with. Old 401ks, retirement planning, insurance planning, inheritance planning. Those are things that people like to get some more information about.
One of the things I find is people don't even know where to start, and that's where you come in.
Yeah, so I can usually help people with an initial phone call or meeting that is a no charge and no obligation.
And I'll bet you have a phone number and a website.
I do, George. They can call me at 615-235-1058 or rockcastlewealth.com or Eric at rockcastlewealth.com.
Hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd, the goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Experience Predators hockey all season long. Visit NashvillePredators.com/season tickets and join the Loyal Legion today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets, and we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
Okay, as we promised you earlier, we're going to head out to First Horizon Park, the home of the Nashville Sounds. Tonight, it plays to a college game at 6 p.m. Vandy and Lipscomb go at it, and Lipscomb head baseball coach Jeff Forehand joins us from the park. Good stadium shot in the background. Jeff, how are you?
Man, I'm doing great. How you doing, Plas?
Doing good. Thank you for doing this.
No sweat.
So, for your team, how much fun is it getting to play somebody on Vandy's level?
Well, we've done that all year. You know, our schedule this year is, one of those where, this day and age we're fighting that RPI. So, we tried to, Rhymes and I tried to pump the schedule up a little bit. We've been to Auburn for 3. We've been to Mississippi State for 3. We've played Tennessee. We played Georgia Tech. We got Louisville and Arkansas to go, Vandy tonight. So, just trying to get that level because that's the level where the game is played. So, you just got to play good ball no matter if you're playing, like Vandy and Tennessee, top 5 team in the country, or you're playing, a bottom 5 team in the country. You got to play good baseball, and just letting the guys see what good baseball looks like on a consistent basis is kind of what we set out to do. So, we've had some tough losses, some games we should have won, I think, in there with some of those Power 5 teams that we were in good position to win it. We just got to figure out how to do that. So had a good weekend this weekend and first weekend in conference. So looking forward to tonight and see where we stack up.
Jeff, how do you handle the whole pitching part of this? Because clearly you got to have your 3 ready when you go to conference play. And by the way, congrats on a good weekend against Jacksonville in conference play. But how do you try to play Tuesday pitching as opposed to Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Well, fortunately on Sunday we got a complete game. That was the first one all year. So that put us in a good position for, some guys that need to get some work in, especially our bullpen for conference play. We've got our starters set, for conference play. And obviously the guy that pitched on Sunday wouldn't be available tonight, but, we've got, I think that's one of our strengths. We've got some depth in the pitching. We've got a guy to go on tonight, a 4th-year guy that had been pitching some on Sunday for us. We shook it up a little bit on Sunday. He was going to be the first guy out of the pen for us on Sunday, just because we thought he played better out of the pen. So he'll get to start tonight. He'll go. He won't go deep into the game because we will need him, for the weekend, and then we'll probably, we'll probably staff it on out, matching it up, left-hander, right-hander, all the way through their lineup to just get us, because I do think we have some depth down there. We have some quality guys in the bullpen. So if we can do that, that helps us stack up for the weekend.
Jeff, what's the excitement level for players of that stadium in the background?
It's a cool atmosphere, you know, the opportunity to play here. You know, when I just came in, I just said, man, this is such a cool place. And, you know, again, I don't see many Sounds games during the year anymore, you know, with recruiting and everything that goes on. So the times that I walk in here, it's like, man, it's just such a great place, you know, great backdrop, and just the opportunity for us to play here, you know, and play them. It's such a fun game. So they look forward to it. I look forward to it. And, you know, it's a good atmosphere.
Vandy's coming off a 3-game sweep of Ole Miss over the weekend where both teams absolutely froze. It was some tough weather. But Jeff, kind of give me a comparison off what you've seen between this Vandy team so far and some of Corbin's best teams of the past.
Well, you know, honestly, I was even telling my wife last night, you know, when I'm studying them, you know, I look and there's not that many familiar names that have been, you know, up and down their lineup for several years. They've got 3 or 4 guys that are staples and been in the lineup before, but they're a young team. They've got a lot of freshmen and sophomores that are really good players, and obviously, you know, what they did to Ole Miss this weekend, you know, just, you know, manhandle them. If you ask Corbs, he probably would shake that off a little bit and say, you know, that Ole Miss didn't play as well, but you know, we all know that that's 2 really good teams matching up, and for them to go in and sweep them and shut them out in one of the games, and you know, just you know, but when you look at their lineup, it's not one for me that I've recognized those names in there, you know, other than Bradfield, who's been in there for a while, Bolger's been in there for a while, Diaz, so those kind of names are in there. But you know, when you look at the lineup up and down, you know, it's a little bit different, but obviously, you know, they're playing really well, and a great opportunity for us to see, like I said, how we stack up.
Okay, last thing for you. Talk to me about your conference and where you think you guys stack up. Obviously, you've got one weekend of play, but where do you think you stack?
You know, you never know. Every coach, and I don't want to give you coach speak, but I like to think we stack up at the top. You know, our record doesn't show that at the moment, but you know, I really feel like we stack up at the top. You know, Gulf Coast is off to a really good start. They're in the top 20. You know, Liberty's always a good team. Jacksonville, North Florida, Stetson are always good. You know, but some of the other teams that we play, you know, in the league, you know, some guys are playing really well. You know, you know, Austin Peay and Bellarmine and those teams that won 2 out of 3 this weekend. You know, I think our league really stacks up. You know, it's a 14-team league, and you know, it's tough competition up and down. So each weekend will be exciting, no matter who you play. Like I said earlier, you got to play good baseball, and when you do, you usually get rewarded for that. So it's going to be an exciting year. Going to be exciting to see what happens week to week in the conference. But you know, these kind of games hopefully get us set up for that.
Oh, you know they do. I'm coming out there tonight to put on a good show, and I can't thank you enough for doing this on the day of a game.
Hey, not a problem. Anything for you, man. You're such a blessing to all of us, and what you do to promote all of us and to give us that opportunity to be on your show. And you've been doing it for years, man. Just keep doing it. And we love you, man. And we appreciate what you do for all of us.
Jeff, thank you. If I had $1, I'd give it to you.
Thanks, my friend.
Okay. See ya.
Bye-bye.
That's a good baseball coach right there. Jeff Forehand, the head coach at Lipscomb University. Good job by David to take care of putting that together. Looked good.
Yeah, looked pretty good. How about it?
Looked really good.
We'll be over there later.
Yeah. So, Watson.
Yeah.
Guess where we go now?
Go to the bet of the day, right?
Oh, yeah. Billy?
We are everybody's anxiously awaiting Plaster's bet of the day, brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. They are lawyers you can trust. Give them a call at 615-242-9000 or log on to bartdurham.com. All right, Watson, let's check out what happened last night. The Grizzlies didn't pull through. What happened, George?
They were damn lucky to win at all. They were down. I fell asleep on it. They were down 16 and then rallied to win by 4. They outscored Dallas 29-12 in the fourth quarter.
Oh, so they only won by 4 instead of 5.
5. Yeah.
That's a tough loss.
That's part of the gig.
It happens.
You know, look at that gaudy record though, Watson.
Still pretty good.
Yeah,
you've got a little gravy where you can lose a few and still be okay.
So we're going NIT tonight. and we're gonna take the two games that are on the slate. I'm taking Oklahoma State at home. Now, having seen North Texas, they're pretty good.
They're good.
They really play defense, as a lot of teams in that league found out. That was an NCAA team for a while, but I just think Oklahoma State at home in IBA Arena, they're going to cover that. That's game one of the doubleheader. Game two, Wisconsin was very lucky to get by Liberty. This is not the Wisconsin of recent years. By the way, neither is Oregon. And Watson, when you watch a game in that Oregon court, is that not hard on the eyes?
I can't stand it. Matter of fact, whenever I was watching them recently, I turned it off. I just can't. I can't stand that.
It takes away from the game.
It does.
I just don't like it at all.
I'm not a fan of
You
it.
can't even see where the players are half the time.
That's part of the
or
problem.
where the ball is.
But I'm going to see enough to believe that Oregon will cover the -4.5. So we're going the two favorites tonight.
I want to tease something again, George. You don't have to reveal it, but are you touching Vandy UAB tomorrow night? That's the Watson game.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, big one.
You know, I made the joke that I went to the Vandy-Memphis game at the start of the season because I was the only person in a crowd of 10,000 that could say, well, I've announced for both schools. Watson, if you go tomorrow night, you're the only person that could say, I've been the head football coach for both schools.
And the AD for one of them.
I'd say you're probably right. I don't know that, but you probably are right.
Well, no, I think we do know that.
Well, there ain't been a whole lot of UAB coaches.
That's why I think we
they ain't been going since the 90s. So, I mean, it's, but Vanderbilt's had a few.
Well, yes, they have.
Andy Kennedy at UAB.
Yeah.
He's done a really good job. That should be a fun one.
Yeah. 6 o'clock tomorrow night. Tomorrow on the show, Mark McGee will join us. The Preds, I think we can put to bed.
God bless them. To lose those guys.
Oh, they're playing
right when they're right
there,
there, and then everybody just goes down.
Yeah.
All of them get hurt. Unbelievable.
When it rains, it pours. And then Taylor Barnett will join us. We got a lot of things to talk to him about as well. So busy day tomorrow on the show. Watson, until then, enjoy the NIT.
I will enjoy the NIT. Thank you.
Billy, you enjoy whatever it is you're going to enjoy.
A little baseball.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't know about the World Baseball Classic, though.
Well, you know what? If you're in the area, you're watching this show live, Vandy and Lipscomb tonight, 6 o'clock, First Horizon Park. Thanks to Jeff Forehand for joining us. Thanks to David Wilson for putting that together. It was well done. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for being with us.